Linda Blair is a name forever linked to one of the most iconic horror films in cinema history, The Exorcist. As a young girl, she gave audiences worldwide a character that was both terrifying and unforgettable. But what happens when a child star, remembered for a shocking role, grows up and decides to reclaim her identity on her own terms? For Linda, it meant stepping away from the image of a frightened little girl and showing the world that she was more than a movie character. This story is not about demonic possession or spinning heads. It's about personal choice, agency, and the challenges of growing up in the spotlight. It's about a Hollywood star who made a decision that shocked audiences, sparked conversations, and left a lasting impression on pop culture for decades. Linda Blair's journey is a fascinating example of the complex path from child stardom to adulthood. Early fame and the Exorcist legacy. Linda Blair was just 14 years old when she took on the role of Regan in The Exorcist, a performance that would define her career. Overnight, she became a household name, and the world watched as she brought to life one of the most haunting characters in film history. The movie itself became a cultural phenomenon, terrifying audiences while earning critical acclaim. Blair's performance was recognized with nominations for prestigious awards, including an Academy Award, which was an extraordinary achievement for someone so young. Yet, along with fame came immense pressure. Cameras followed her everywhere, reporters constantly sought her reactions, and fans were eager to see what she would do next. Blair's early experiences in Hollywood were a mix of triumph and intense scrutiny, as she navigated life as a public figure while still growing into adulthood. Growing up in the public eye. Being a child star comes with unique challenges, and Linda Blair experienced them firsthand. While most teenagers were exploring their identities privately, Blair's every move was observed by the public. People remembered her primarily as the possessed girl from The Exorcist, and this image overshadowed her personal growth. She was often treated like a character rather than a person, and the pressure to maintain a particular image was relentless. For Blair, growing up meant more than aging physically. It was about reclaiming her identity and showing the world that she was more than a role she had played as a child. The tension between public perception and personal development created a desire to redefine herself, a desire that would later lead to decisions that sparked headlines and public debate. Reclaiming her identity. By the early 1980s, Linda Blair was determined to redefine herself as an adult. She wanted audiences to see her as a woman with agency, rather than as the scared little girl from decades-old horror films. This desire to assert control over her image led her to make bold decisions regarding how she presented herself publicly. In 1983, Blair participated in a photo shoot that was noticeably different from anything she had done before. Unlike typical celebrity portraits or fashion spreads, this session presented her as a grown woman embracing her body and her choices. It was a deliberate act, a way to show the world that she was in control of her career, her image, and her personal narrative. This step marked a turning point in her life, demonstrating her willingness to face scrutiny in order to assert her independence. The bold decision that made headlines. The photo shoot in question was striking and provocative for its time. Linda Blair appeared in a series of images where she was bare, an act that, while controversial, was fully her choice. It was not a leaked set of private photos, nor an accidental exposure. It was an intentional statement of autonomy. Through these photographs, Blair sought to shed the lingering perception of being the child star trapped in a horror role and instead present herself as an empowered adult. The images quickly captured public attention, sparking widespread discussion about fame, personal freedom, and societal expectations. While some viewers were shocked, others understood her desire to reclaim her identity and recognized the courage it took to make such a decision in a public arena. Public reaction and debate. The response to Linda Blair's photo shoot was immediate and varied. Fans and critics alike had strong opinions, ranging from surprise to admiration. Some people questioned why she had chosen such a bold approach to redefining her image, while others defended her right to make decisions about her own body and career. The broader discussion highlighted how society often struggles to reconcile childhood fame with adult autonomy. In Blair's case, the debate was not about legality or morality, but about perception. Her choice became a symbol of the tension between public expectations and personal empowerment, a tension faced by many former child stars as they transition into adulthood. The public's fascination with the photos also underscored a cultural curiosity about how celebrities navigate personal growth under constant scrutiny. Empowerment through choice. For Linda Blair, the decision to participate in the photo shoot was ultimately about empowerment. She wanted to take control of how she was perceived and to show that she could make decisions for herself. In interviews, Blair explained that the images were meant to signal freedom and maturity rather than shock value or controversy. She wanted to move past the scared little girl label and assert herself as an adult capable of managing her career and public image. The act of choosing how to be seen was deeply personal and deliberate. By taking control of her narrative, Blair reclaimed a sense of ownership over her life, demonstrating the importance of autonomy in shaping one's identity, especially after a childhood spent in the spotlight. Context within Hollywood culture. Linda Blair's choices were not created in isolation, nor were they as unusual within Hollywood culture as they may have seemed at first glance. During the late 1970s and 1980s, many performers who found fame at a young age faced a difficult transition into adulthood. The entertainment industry often struggled to let go of youthful images, especially when those images were tied to iconic roles. As a result, actors were frequently forced to take deliberate steps to signal that they were no longer children, but adults capable of making their own decisions. In that era, redefining one's public image often required bold gestures that challenged expectations. Within this broader cultural environment, Linda Blair's actions reflected a common struggle among former child stars: the desire to separate personal identity from early fame. Hollywood places enormous value on image, and career trajectories are often shaped as much by perception as by talent. Blair's decision fit into this reality. Rather than being purely provocative, it was a conscious attempt to step out of a narrow narrative and assert personal authenticity. While the attention it generated was intense, it also highlighted the limited pathways available to young actors seeking autonomy in a highly controlled industry. Continuing career and activism. After the controversy surrounding her image change, Linda Blair continued to build a career that demonstrated depth and persistence. She appeared in a wide range of film and television projects, exploring genres beyond horror and refusing to be confined to a single identity. While some projects received more recognition than others, her continued presence in the industry proved that one moment did not define her professional future. She remained active, adaptable, and willing to evolve as an artist. Equally significant was Blair's work beyond acting. Over time, she became widely recognized for her dedication to animal rights and welfare. She founded organizations and supported campaigns focused on rescuing abused animals and promoting responsible care. This commitment revealed another dimension of her character, one rooted in compassion, responsibility, and advocacy. For many fans, her activism reshaped how they viewed her entirely. It showed that fame could be used as a platform for meaningful impact, reinforcing the idea that a person's legacy is shaped not by controversy alone, but by sustained actions and values over time. Courage and personal narrative. What truly distinguishes Linda Blair's journey is the courage required to confront expectations that had been imposed on her since childhood. Stepping away from an iconic role is not easy, especially when that role has become inseparable from public memory. Doing so requires not only confidence but resilience, the willingness to endure criticism in pursuit of authenticity. Blair's actions demonstrated a desire to reclaim ownership over her narrative, even when the consequences were unpredictable. Her willingness to be vulnerable in the public eye speaks to a deeper truth about empowerment. Authenticity often involves risk, particularly when personal growth clashes with public comfort. The choices she made were not about shock or rebellion, but about self-definition. By refusing to remain confined to a single identity, Blair asserted her humanity beyond fame. Her story offers a powerful reminder that growth often requires discomfort, and that choosing how to define oneself rather than allowing others to do it is an act of profound personal strength. The legacy of the choice. With the benefit of time, it is clear that Linda Blair's decision did not limit her future or diminish her achievements. Instead, it became one chapter in a much larger story of self-determination. Her continued work in entertainment, her advocacy, and her evolving public image all demonstrate that identity is not fixed by one moment. While the photographs remain part of her history, they do not define the totality of her life or career. Legacy is shaped over time through consistency and purpose. Blair's legacy is rooted in resilience, the ability to move forward, adapt, and remain true to herself despite external pressure. When viewed through this lens, the moment that once seemed controversial becomes a symbol of growth rather than scandal. It reflects the reality that personal evolution often unfolds publicly for celebrities, and that redefining oneself is not a weakness, but a necessary step toward authenticity and self-respect. Lessons in understanding and empathy. Linda Blair's experience highlights the importance of approaching public stories with understanding rather than judgment. Former child stars, in particular, navigate challenges that are rarely visible to audiences. They grow up while the world watches, often with little room to make mistakes or change directions privately. Every decision becomes amplified, interpreted, and debated. Blair's actions were rooted in agency and self-expression, not controversy for its own sake. Recognizing this allows for a more compassionate interpretation of her story. It encourages a shift away from gossip-driven narratives and toward empathy-driven understanding. Her journey invites audiences to consider the broader context behind public choices, and to remember that celebrities are people first, navigating the same questions of identity, growth, and autonomy as anyone else, just under far brighter lights. Conclusion: a star beyond the role. Linda Blair's journey from The Exorcist to adulthood is a story of courage, autonomy, and personal evolution. While her early fame was defined by a single, unforgettable role, her life beyond it reflects a broader commitment to authenticity and purpose. Her decision to redefine herself may have sparked controversy, but it was ultimately an act of empowerment, one that allowed her to reclaim her narrative and grow on her own terms. Beyond headlines and lingering images, Blair's career and activism reveal depth, resilience, and compassion. Her story reminds us that public perception often captures only fragments of a person's life, not the full picture. In the end, Linda Blair's lasting impact lies not in shock or nostalgia, but in her courage to move forward, evolve, and define herself beyond expectations. She remains a star not because of one role, but because of the strength it took to become fully herself.